want to start before. I don't even like these meetings.
Good morning. I'm going to call the meeting to order. It's Tuesday, January the 11th, 2022. Commissioner Dickinson is going to lead us in prayer.
Let us pray. Lord, you renewed the world. In this new year, we are mindful of the fact that each new year gives us a chance to renew our efforts, to improve our operations, and to work together. Please inspire in us a true spirit of service throughout this year. Energize us with a real commitment to cooperation among each of our members and with all the parts of the county government that we serve. And grant us the energy and the vision to see new ways of assuring clean elections and secure elections, to make sure that our elections are transparent, and to make sure that all of our voters are treated professionally and courteously at the polls. Work with us to make sure that the citizens of Madison County see our elections as being a model for all of our state. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Ghost, amen.
No. Commissioner Carney.
Salute, pledge. I
I
pledge
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we come to the point where we're ready to elect officers for 2022. Do I hear nominations for chair?
I nominate Pat.
I second the
Second.
nomination.
Are there other nominations?
Move that the nomination be closed.
Second.
Motion made and second. Thank y'all. I appreciate it. I'll be happy to serve again this year. I think all of us make a good team, and so I appreciate it. Thank you. Nominations for vice chair,
I nominate Leroy.
Second.
I didn't hear that.
Leroy.
Okay.
Move the nomination be closed.
Second, if I can.
Wait a minute. Wait. All right. Who first it? Leroy. Himself?
No, I nominated him.
Lauren
I'm asking.
nominated.
All
I
right, so
seconded.
Lauren did, and then Dan second.
Yep.
And
Got
then
it.
Leroy moved to close,
Okay.
and Pat seconded.
Okay.
Got it.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, motion passed. Okay, nominations for secretary. Nominate Helen.
I second. Or Leah.
Move to close.
Wait a minute.
Lauren moved to close.
Okay.
Who seconded that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, who did? I don't know what. Start over. All right, so Pat.
Dan,
Did you?
Okay, Pat
I
did it.
seconded you.
You second. Dan
Leroy
second.
moved to close.
Got it.
I
Lauren-
moved to close, Leroy seconded.
Made the nomination, you made second. I was seconding with you, but we did it simultaneously. Yeah.
Did we get all that?
I think so. I got it.
Okay, you got it.
Okay.
Thank y'all. Thank you. Thank you.
Destroy that video.
Thank y'all.
Who's on first?
Yeah, that's right. Okay, I'm sorry. Now.
All right, all in favor, by acclamation.
Aye.
Okay, thank y'all. Okay, we have before us our December 8 minutes. If you will, mention any corrections or additions that you have found reviewing them.
Move the minutes be accepted as printed.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Okay, today is mandatory purge day, and I'm gonna let our attorney, he had furnished us with a sheet. If you'll look for the sheet in your packet, it's legal.
Oh, yeah,
I did not get a
I
sheet
don't
in my
have one here
packet.
either.
I didn't put them in there.
I
Oh, okay. Did you bring them, Spence, or was I supposed to do them?
I
I haven't looked at this one.
Yeah, I think
I didn't
we do
bring a
need to see
copy.
it.
Here,
I
I printed one off from my email,
Sitting
so,
in the email, but I couldn't print it.
yeah, I'm sharing it with Leroy.
I mean, I couldn't print it anyway. I got it, but I couldn't print it.
All right, if you note,
Wouldn't print.
the, purge date, I talked to, Spence yesterday about, there's one on there that, what was the one that had
I got it on my sheet.
been done on last month?
Thank you.
Let's see.
You need one, Spence?
No.
That Carlos, excuse me, I'm not supposed to say the name. That second one down had already been purged by Commissioner Dickinson, because he was on our list last month, because it
Right.
was in September that we did a purge.
Yep.
So that one has already been taken off.
You can have,
Whenever I ran it was the same day.
Right,
I started at the date that we did it, like that.
exactly, and so it picked it up again, but that's fine. I'm just saying that won't have to be in this run.
Right, okay.
Pat, Spence, I have a question. We have a couple of persons on this list for shoplifting. I think if I've read the law correctly, it has to be larceny shoplifting, not simple shoplifting. Have we looked at this list to make it clear that it's larceny shoplifting that we're talking about here?
Yes, that's a good question. And so if it's under this format that we get it, if it's listed as shoplifting and just says shoplifting, it's a felony. And so if it's something less than that, it'll say, misdemeanor and that type thing.
Okay.
It's a very good question. And so under this format, if it's listed as shoplifting, you can assume it's a felony.
Okay.
Okay, so there are only 3 on there that are not considered.
That's right. So it's when we do this, under the law, you do it, at the first of the year. Well, in January, typically we've also do it like right at the end of the last year, so the list isn't as long in January. So it's not that long here. So there haven't been that many convictions between, I guess, October and the first of the year. And this is that short list. And it's almost easier to say which ones weren't felonies or disenfranchising crimes. And there were just about 3 of them that weren't.
See them.
So you can kind of look at it that way. And then the rest of them are, it's things like grand larceny and embezzlement, and there really aren't any close calls or, things you had to look up. Now, what Clerk Ray does is she has to get the Secretary of State's office to pull the list from SIMS and shoot us a report, which is a little different than in the past. So we get this report, and you don't look at what the charge was. You look at on the right-hand side what the sentence was, and as the determining factor. And then there's one towards the bottom where they get into the details of the statute of receiving stolen property. Don't worry about that. It's just a note that pops up on SIMS. Receiving stolen property is the statute was just amended, and it is a disenfranchising crime. That's a little confusing though, so I just wanted to explain that. But the rest of them are pretty much, they're not difficult to, grand larceny and embezzlement. And
I reviewed the list pretty in depth this past weekend, so I would like to move that we purge all of those listed except for the 3 that we've identified that are not disenfranchising crimes.
Second it for discussion.
yes, discussion. Okay, so I did look them up, and I do have a list of the ones that are registered in Madison County. So that's the ones that, and Pat she's got my list, she can read it. And I had to get birthdays to verify because the names were kind of the same, so I wanted to be sure, and since we didn't have the middle name or the birthday, I did get verification of their date of births. So I could also look up those people that had the same names, that didn't have a middle name. And one of these are on here twice. So, anyway, so I have, if that's okay with everybody, I've already researched and I know the ones that are in Sims that are registered in Madison County. So if it's okay with the committee, I would like to be the responsible one for this list.
Of that list, there are only 3 that are actually registered voters. And so we thought it would speed things up for everybody because it's not a big lengthy list where we have to divide it up by pages. And since we were able to research it before our meeting today, we don't then have to bring it back and say we're going to remove 3 names. The 3 that are actually registered is the 5th one down, I believe, starting right under short title. The 5th one down,
All right.
and then the 14th down. And the 20th down. Okay, we have a motion to purge. Lauren, would you amend your motion to say for those 3 that we find?
So amended.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Thank y'all. Okay, we're up to you, Anita.
Okay, you'll have to remind me of what because I don't have the agenda in front of me, but, the first thing I wanted to tell you is Teresa's out with COVID, so she's, I couldn't get my DR001 report, or I would have had it over there for you today. So I'll have it for the next meeting, the news report.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, the second thing is, the list of all the, poll books, the new poll books that we have, we have turned those, we have donated those to the county, so we should be getting numbers, county numbers on those pretty soon. And all of the old poll books, I don't know if I mentioned this at the last meeting or not, they have been done that, all been turned over to the county to do with whatever they feel necessary to do. The third thing is all of the new voter registration cards for the precinct that we moved, Victory over to Ridgecrest have all been sent out along with letters, and we have received a few of those back with either they have moved or they have been they've called me and said that maybe their name is different or the name has been, the last name has changed, and so I just told them to send that back in and let's get that updated. And I think the last thing is, I think Helen, you had mentioned to me about a letter, or the contract had not been signed with New Life to change it to, what was the name of the, it's going to be changed to?
The Lighthouse Church.
Lighthouse, okay. I don't have that, so therefore I cannot send a letter out. We do not have to send out voter registration cards, but I do want to send a letter out to those voters in that precinct, letting them know that that precinct is not closed, but the name has been changed to Lighthouse, so they'll be aware of that.
Well, I talked to the past.
That I have, unless you have any questions for me.
Yeah, I talked to the pastor yesterday, Anita, and they definitely want to keep it a precinct. He said that he should have, that Spence had sent him the revised lease agreement, and that we should have that within the end of this week. I don't know that we'll make it to the Board of Supervisors meeting, but we'll definitely get it put on the next one. So anyway, so I'm just was thankful that he decided and that his church decided to keep it a precinct. So that was a blessing to me. So thank you, Anita.
All right, that's good. That's perfect then, because that needed to stay a precinct. That's good, and I'm looking forward to seeing everybody at ECAM next week. And that's all that I have.
Well, thank you. Now we're down to our request for purchase by district. And District 1,
19,
District 2,
15.
District 3, 67, District 4,
29.
District 5.
40.
Do I hear a motion?
So move.
Second?
I second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, on the inactives, same period, District 1,
35,
District 2,
13.
District 3, 16, District 4,
9.
District 5.
19.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
So moved. Second.
I got Leroy first and then Lauren seconding.
Either way.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, down to old business. We have had some discussion about the silent auction, and we've been back and forth, and Mr. Lacy has graciously volunteered to help pick one out, and I'm going to assist him. So we're going to have something to go down there
Okay,
with.
okay.
So, let's see. Item B, Secretary of State had sent samples of the affidavit envelopes. They are in your packet. The one for the no photo ID is going to be blue this time.
Right.
And I was so pleased that Secretary of State Watson took our suggestion with that. And because I like if we're going to change something, it'd be different. So
Yes.
I like that, and I've included copies of that. I didn't do the envelope twice just to save on printing, but it's identical on the blue as the same as on the white. So please review it and make sure you don't see anything. I did not notice a correction right now, but if you see something, please let us know so we can email the Secretary of State. Or you may, and then just CC me, whatever you prefer. Okay, we're down to the new business, and we need to talk about the June primary.
Sure. And so I'm clear on you're saying he changed the color of the affidavit ballot?
No, of the envelope.
Of the envelope, okay.
It's the envelope for people that do not have photo ID.
Okay.
It had been being yellow, and that was something that was totally confused with our poll workers.
Right.
Okay.
And so we thought if we went with a different color, as we'd start training, we could say, blue envelopes are only, and stress it that way, so
Okay.
Yeah. Good little color control. It'll
I
be
see.
an improvement.
I like it.
So blue envelopes are only for affidavits
or
For
for,
people
For
that
no
don't
ID.
have a photo ID.
okay, okay.
The other affidavit, and plus that makes it easy when you're sorting through them at night.
Okay.
Out of the ballot bag, you can just put the blue ones aside because they need to be given to the circuit clerk so she can identify them, because those people would be coming into her office with their ID if they so choose
Okay.
within the 5-day window.
So if the blue envelopes for no photo ID,
ID,
okay.
right. Uh-huh.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah. All right, so the primary election, as I was recalling, and y'all refresh my memory, the last time we did there was a primary, I guess, since this is 2022, it was 2020 with the federal election. And so, over the years, it's been, it was a challenge, like what role do we have and what role does the party have? And so I think y'all came to the conclusion in 2020 that, look, either we run the whole election, we're glad to run the whole election for you, or y'all can run it. It's one or the other. In every election cycle, there were problems because it was murky. So I think that's why you came to the conclusion, like either we run the whole thing, or it's your primary, it's your call. And if you want to run the whole thing, you can. I think that's what we came to 2020. If y'all think that memory is correct, and then so in 2020, the Republicans said, okay, y'all run the primary, and we ran it, and the Democrats which is their prerogative, wanted to run their primary, so they did, and so. Wasn't that how it played out? Okay. So that's how we did it last time, and we can do it however y'all want to do it, but that's the context of how we got to that point. And whatever y'all's pleasure is what we'll all convey to the Democrat and Republican chairman. So we've got a primary this year in June. So what do y'all want to do?
All or nothing.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Agreed.
I'm not sure I do agree. I was not an election commissioner then. In fact, I was an official of one of the parties. That party was very unhappy with the election commission because the election commission, as I was told, had not been willing to run the election. It seems to me that we offer a service to all the voters and to both the parties. To me, either party or both parties should request that service. If they want the service, it ought to be provided. If they don't want the service, then they can run their own election as they're legally entitled to do. But I don't see why it has to be because one party wants it and the other party doesn't. I don't see why that negates our obligation to be of service to whomever wants it, whichever party it is.
I think it makes it too confusing because we've done it that way. And so I feel like all or nothing. Now, it doesn't mean we would not assist at all. We could do the training because we would have the information on that. We could pack the bags. But come election day, it would be totally the party in charge of the precincts on Monday night, giving everything out, on Tuesday, the day of election, to service their precincts if they need more ballots. They would be in charge of ordering the ballots, approving the ballots. And I think it would serve better, since it is a primary, to have the parties function in that area.
And they get their own poll workers.
Yes, they get their own poll.
We do not get their poll workers.
That if they decide to run the election, certainly they would do all those things.
Yes.
I understand that, but we're looking for consistency in our elections. As I think most of you are aware, in some counties, the election commission is running all the elections with the support of the local cities and the parties. We're the best ones, frankly, to train these poll workers. We have the most experience in running these elections. Now, I don't think we should impose ourselves. If either of the party wants to run their own election, that's their business. But if they seek our help, whether they do it together or do it separately, I think it ought to be offered, because we should be working for more consistency and more training and better poll workers throughout the county. So that's just my view, but I guess if nobody asks for our help, then it really won't matter.
Madam Chairman, as I recall, 2020 was a problem because one party decided not to, the other party said yes, but
Correct.
we did not sign on. We signed on as assistants, but some of the commissioners worked as if we was there, and that's what caused the confusion right there. The confusion is that if both parties agree, you agree. If one party does not, you still got a problem. And the problem is that the commissioner is going to be in those precincts working as if you're working for both parties, and that won't be the truth. If anything goes down, who's going to get blamed? The commissioners. Is their election. Our job is to put the support to them, what they need to run that election, because at the end of the day, a primary is on them. They have to certify everything. We did everything possible for that 1 year. We did everything possible for both parties that we could do. But at the end of the day, you all know what happened, those that was here. The parties wanted to take over at the end, and that's a bad deal. We did everything, but at the end, they wanted to take over of everything. They didn't want us to touch anything, but we had to touch everything. So you got a problem there. I say give the support that we've always given. We'll pack the bags. We're going to do all of the training that you can possibly give to them, because at the end of the day, they need to be trained now. The parties need to know what's going on in an election.
Yes.
But you all know what happened. We started out, and the parties backed up. They didn't know nothing that was going on. That wasn't right. They left it on us.
That
That
gets
wasn't
back to
correct.
my point for the fact that we need consistency.
Right.
And we're only going to get it if we have it controlled by this board and do the most professional job we can.
But
And
I
as far-
think, Mrs.
And as far as the fact that it's a partisan primary, it really has nothing to do with it. We're not partisans. the laws that apply to the Democrats are the same laws that apply to the Republicans, and they have to be applied equally to both parties and to all voters. So I don't care if we're running a socialist party, if the Socialist Party manages to qualify in our state. It's still those elections will still be conducted under the same law, with the same respect for the voters and the same outcome. And if that's not happening, that's what we don't want. It's the consistency that we want so that all voters, regardless of their choices, are served.
But we all are also bound by state law.
That's what I'm saying.
And state law
And we're
says-
more likely to know state law than the parties are when they're running primaries, sometimes in 2 years, and sometimes they let us run it, and so forth and so on. We should be looking for that consistency. Again, our state law says that they have the choice. If they want to do it themselves, they can.
That's right. And in order for us to participate in any way, we must have a contract.
That's right, that's right. But if they're wise, they should be seeking that consistency too, and we should support it when they do seek that consistency.
I think we definitely would if we had their cooperation.
Yeah, well, obviously
across the
they have to
board.
cooperate.
I feel like that would be a win-win for the whole county. But until our attorney reaches out and determines what they're going to do, I think our position needs to be that it's all or nothing, and that we will do training, pack the bags, and that's it. That means they would be responsible Monday night for giving out all of their materials. They would be responsible all of Tuesday, and that we are not conducting that election.
I think we ought to give permission to Mr. Spence to reach out to see what the parties want to do, and next month we can make our decision
I
on
agree.
where we are.
If they want to do it, there's nothing for us to discuss.
That's right.
He can reach out with all what we used to do, the bags, the training, and all of that kind of thing, and whatever we had in those past contracts, and they ought to stay close to that, Mr. Spence, and they get their own poll workers and all that sort of thing. We'll give them the list of what we had in the past, and they're welcome to reach out to those people. I think next month, then this commission here can make their decision on which way we want to go.
Agreed.
Okay,
it
well,
should be
this is good. We're starting early in the year, so we got enough time. So this is good timing, and the February meeting's probably not 30 days, less than 30 days away. So I'll reach out to them and see what they want to do. And I know on the Republican side, there's a new chairman, and I guess on the Democrat side, is Howard Brown still the chairman? Do you know? Okay,
no
I'll
idea.
call Howard, and if he's not, he'll tell me who it is. So I'll see what the parties would like to do, and then if they say, what do y'all have in mind? I want to make sure I tell them exactly what we have in mind.
Training,
Okay,
pack the bags,
okay.
and do you think of something else, Mr. Lacy?
I can't remember whether we had anything to do with the delivery of the machines. I think we did and didn't. We didn't supposed to, but we kind of did
Well,
because
that's why I'm saying just those two
because
things.
they don't know what they are doing when it comes to that entity is delivering the machines. And that's why we're going to have to approach the supervisor, because that's one thing that we didn't discuss that we now need to discuss. It's a primary. So how the primary people go get their machines out if those people on those van lines don't know where to go?
Right.
So
So include that or not? Machine delivery.
What was your question?
Should we include that we would assist with the logistics of machine delivery or not?
I don't think we should, because we got in a mess last time.
Okay. So just training and packing bags.
Packing the bags, we got everything they need.
Okay. I'll reach out to them and report back. Yeah, and again, it's early. It's January, so
We got
plenty of
time.
We thought we ought to start the dialogue now, so
Yeah.
we'd have
Yeah,
time to.
see what we got to do.
Okay, I'll give him a call, and I'll but before the next meeting, I'll shoot y'all an email so you kind of know what the response was, so you can be thinking about it, and we can kind of go from there.
I know.
I hear Mr. Lacy's motion that we instruct our attorney to
Yes.
reach out. Is
Yeah.
there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Motion passed. Okay, next item is Commissioner Payne.
So I have been looking lately into the need for poll workers. We obviously are going to have a big need for that come June and December, and we need to start looking. A lot of the poll workers are already established, but I know a lot of the ones from my district are retiring because one of my main poll managers has decided that she's ready to retire. So I'm personally going to be in need of more poll workers for my district. I have reached out to Madison County Property Owners Association, which is an association of all of the HOAs in the county. Each HOA sends a board member to their monthly meetings, and asked them if it would be possible for them to ask the HOA boards to post a flyer on their respective HOA Facebook pages seeking poll workers. That flyer is in your packets. It's pretty generalized wording, and it has our contact information on there if people are looking for more information. If you have any edits that we need to make to this form, or if you have any suggestions on the wording, absolutely, please let me know. Another thing I wanted to do to look for poll workers is in my district, there is, and I've shared this with y'all. I know Pat and Dan I've shared it with. I don't know if I've actually spoken to you or you about it, Helen and Leroy. There is a report in Sims where you can pull potential poll workers, and that's a report of people who on their voter registration application marked that they may potentially be interested in that. I have not drafted the letter yet, but I would like to draft a letter, at least for my district, and send that letter to those potential poll workers to gauge their interest. Need to do that sooner rather than later, so that we can get a full book of poll workers. I can share, once I draft that letter, I can absolutely share that with the entire board if you want to use it for your districts. But those are just some ways that I would like to reach out to the county and get some new poll workers and get us a good pool of poll workers, because a lot of people don't know how to even do that. They show up to the polls and they're like, oh, somebody's working. How did they get there? So that is something that we can do as an informational campaign.
I think that's a great idea. I'd like to put that letter on hold, and since we don't know who's going to do the primary, can we do it after we decide? And because if they get their own poll workers, and also last year Secretary of State sent us thousands of potential poll workers. So that was another way that, you have to make sure that they're registered to vote in our county. So that was a lot of work for us to go through all that, but they expected us to reach out to those poll workers and the ones that wanted to work. So I don't know if they're doing that this year, Lauren. I have no idea, but we had thousands of names that took us days and days to go through and contact and all that. But anyway, I think
Ones that wanted to work, would they not be on that report in Sims already?
I think that they contacted the Secretary of State's office
Individually.
directly.
Okay.
And also with that report, which is a great report you did, I love it. But we did go through it and we unmarked the ones that were deceased, because it has deceased people and purged people. So we have to be sure that we go through there and uncheck that box and then rerun that report once that we have gone through it and processed that report.
Absolutely.
Because that's an excellent report you did, and we thank you as a board for doing that.
Sure. And I know I've done that for my district. I think Helen, Pat, and Dan, y'all done it for your district. Leroy's done it for his district, so we can rerun that report. And
If you would do that, rerun that report for us.
Sure.
That would be great. When we, as a election commissioner, I just want to thank you for you doing all that. That is excellent to come up with the letter and the reports.
As far as tabling, I totally understand what you're saying, tabling, because if the parties do decide to run the June primary, of course, they would be getting their own poll workers, but we still would need poll workers for November. So we don't want to table it too long so that we can get that book of poll workers as well.
It's just a long time for them to remember. Same way with training. It's just, for some reason, they just can't they don't retain that information. But yeah, whenever you think, yeah, that's great.
Lauren, first, I love the letter, and I really appreciate your initiative in doing this. I like the posting plan. I would suggest, the homeowners association is great. That's where we're going to get a lot of really good people. I do think, just to make sure that everybody's covered, if you have any cities in your district, I think you have Madison and Gluckstadt, should be posted at City Hall as well. If you have a public library in your district, should be posted there,
Agreed.
provided they wish to do it. And if there's any huge apartment complexes, like Leroy and I have one, for example, probably that should be made available to them for posting if they wish to do so, so that we're getting a wider net of people who might potentially wish to be polled.
Agreed. And another thing is the vast majority of the cities have their own Facebook page. I know the county government has its own Facebook page, so putting it there on social media would also be a good place to put it.
It was also suggested that you can run it in the newspapers, like the Madison County Journal. So that would be, that would be a great place
Yes,
to put it. too.
agreed.
Maybe not that letter, but just
Maybe just the flyer or something, a smaller version of the flyer.
and yeah.
Ms. Lauren, I know this will cause you a little bit of work, but if you wouldn't mind doing the work, I mean, I like your letter here, but if you're passing by, get you an envelope, drop it at some of these church houses, you have more names than you could ever live with.
Good.
I
Good.
promise you will. And what you could do is not so much a tabling it, you could be compiling these names anyway. You don't really have to wait because they're going to come back to us. Right. So you can be compiling these names for future dates.
Agreed.
You see what I'm saying? Because it's going to take some people a time to get involved anyway.
Right. I don't have a historical list of the poll workers.
I mean,
in
what
my
I'm saying, I
district.
like to just drop it at a few of the churches out of my district because it'll give me some fresh new names.
Sure.
I can compile those names. If I want to turn them over to the parties, I can. It doesn't matter in that sense because they're going to have the same problem we have. It's
Pat,
getting people.
I think, is Holmes in your district? Working with the college Republicans and college Democrats and maybe sending the flyer to them would help us get some young people involved as
That's
well.
important.
I need to tell y'all, don't want to hurt nobody's feeling, but you don't want to get them too young because they ain't going to do anything now. They're going to come to on the phone all day now. I'm telling you, what's going to happen now. You need some middle-aged people, 30-ish and up, to really get serious about what we do. Just trying to help some of you. That 20-ish group just don't work for me.
Well,
I mean, if the commission like the letter and y'all to go with it, I'll like to start using it to be compiling some names immediately myself.
Madison County,
It's a lot of people that passed away on my district with COVID, a lot of people that passed away, period, that work for me, and I know I'm gonna have to find some new names.
Right.
And so,
We share basically the same pool.
the
It's the same with
quicker,
me.
the quicker I get started with this, the better it would be. I'm just saying, I'm gonna compile the names. If the parties need the name, I don't have a problem sharing it, because they're gonna have to be trained. So if they go through the party's election, it'll be good for me when the general comes.
a valid
They'll
point.
have some knowledge of what they're doing. That's just my opinion, because it's too much for these people to insert in their head in a few hours and then go run an election for the first time. I'm just sorry, it is.
The Property Owners Association, I believe they were supposed to meet either this morning or this evening, but they've postponed it to, I think it's going to be later in the week. I'm not sure what day. But they said as soon as I could get them a JPEG file, they would get it out to the respective board members of each HOA.
Because what I see here, everything's gonna be coming back to us. So you have a right to do whatever you choose to do with it.
Correct. Correct.
Just my opinion now. Won't hurt nothing.
And if they come back to us now, they would be somebody that we could mark in a notebook or on a report or whatever. Hey, I need to contact this person in August or September and make sure that they're still interested.
Yeah.
Just saying, help me to compile some names quickly, and that's all.
And then I'm hoping that'll trickle over to the way we can conduct training. I still think we need to have our poll managers decide table worker, bailiff, affidavit, before we bring them in here.
Yeah.
Because it's so diversified with their different assignments.
Correct.
That I think we need to divide them up and say, okay, all table workers, this is your function.
Do a small group training almost.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we are just throwing too much out there in a 2-hour period
Right.
Yes.
to let them know everything.
There's no way they'll retain it
And
unless
there's
they've
no
done it.
need to train everybody on machines when you're not gonna have everybody in the precinct running one.
Right.
Now, if we get the parties involved and they're coming to the training, I want all the party people to come to every training. Because I don't wanna be responsible for their poll workers, so we might want that in the contract too. They have to check their people in at the training and sign off on the payroll sheets, et cetera.
Pat, I like the suggestion, but and just so all the commissioners understand, that will be adding dates to our training. So it's already pretty full, but I just want everybody to be aware and I think it's a great idea to train our managers and affidavit tables, and just like you said, but we're gonna have to have some additional training dates, I think. So
Well,
we need to think about that. That may be something we think about, is going ahead and doing our list of our training dates.
we do need to develop that quickly, regardless if we're doing it or whatever.
Yeah.
I think we ought to, let's come back to the next meeting with some suggested training dates.
Okay.
Mr. Lacy, I see.
I could help you out on that, Ms. Helen. The bottom line of it is, if we'll train, as I often have said many years, start at the machines the way they're gonna open up, finish them opening the machine, y'all gonna have an hour and 30 minutes that you can train on different sections that
good.
you want. You don't have to, get the machines out of the way, how they set up. Then you're gonna have an hour and 30 minutes that you have to train in different areas that you wanna train in.
Perfect.
And we can break them out in that one training, say all of the table workers come over here, all of the bailiffs come over here, and each
Two
one of us can
commissioners,
lead the
you can
small group.
At various points, run two different classes,
Right.
and then bring them together for everything that everybody needs to
Done
know.
that before. It's worked out really well. to
30
do
minutes
that.
on those machines, you out of there. You right to where you want to be.
Yeah.
And bailiff, what's that gonna take, 20 minutes?
Yeah.
10.
Yeah, 10, right. Yeah, exactly. But it needs to be done.
Yeah.
It needs to be done.
I'm not against it. I'm for it. I've been asking for that for years. You get the machines out of the way. You have all the rest of the period to train on papers, what you do.
Very good.
All right, does anybody want, I have kind of interested in developing, let's say, a curriculum for the rest of it. I'd like to have some other input. That way we could then split out into maybe 4 different sections and teach the same thing, but you wouldn't be teaching a huge group. You know,
That is something, it's a good idea, and I have a lot of professional experience in that. I've not run elections, so I would need support from y'all, but I could help you out with that if you wanted to.
I think we ought to work on that. I'm interested in it, but let's see how it fleshes out as we try to develop it. But my idea is that might be helpful to do it that way. But I like the idea of doing it. Do you think we could still get the?
That's what I'm saying. We're going to need that big center.
'Cause we'll have to spread
You
out.
got 4 corners you can go to.
Yeah. Yeah. Complex, yeah.
Do you think we could still get it though? Okay.
I mean, if they ain't got anything going on, but in the evening time, they normally don't.
Right. Right. But I think we ought to work on dates for training and then the curriculum and that sort of thing. You'll be comfortable with kind of leading with the machines, won't you?
Sure.
Mr. Lacy,
I'll do
okay.
whatever I need to do, any area I need to be in. I mean,
yeah.
I train
Well-
the whole city of Canton, so we
That's what I said, I think you do a fine job with the
do it all if
machines.
I need to do it, but I'll do my part.
Right, okay. All right, well, let's work on that then for next month, and we'll come back with it, with some ideas, hopefully.
Just to be clear, on the flyers and the letter, I'm holding off until next month's meeting.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Attorney.
Sure.
Mr.
All right.
Smith.
Well, I've got my marching orders to reach out to the parties to get ready for
Right.
the June primary elections. So, let me put on my mask. I have my legal bill this time. I haven't the last couple times, so this is a 3-month, a bill for 3 months. And,
Thank you.
we didn't really have any elections at the end of the year, so.
Now, Pat, didn't we get a memo from NASON saying we couldn't accept any bills from last year after the January 5th? Did you receive that message? I thought I had.
And so the end of the year, wasn't as intense as the end of this year will be with the general election. So it was not as much billing, but it did cover 3 months.
Move to pay Spence.
Second,
All right, wait a minute, who seconded it?
Dan.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Thank you.
You have anything else
No, ma'am.
for us? Okay. Okay, we're down to comments from the commissioners. District 1,
I don't have any, thanks.
District 2,
I don't have any comments.
District 3. The only thing I wanted to bring to everyone's attention is that the county payroll dates have changed again as we went into '22. And so, they're not much different from what we were doing, but, Helen and I have tried to develop a, list, but they are on a 2-week period again, and so you need to be turning your payroll in, and then they will create a check where we'll get paid twice a month. District 4,
Happy New Year, everybody. The only thing I'd point out is we're going through redistricting right now. I know that in some of the districts, mine is one, there were problems with the lines that were drawn last time around, and we ended up with voters from different districts voting in our precinct. That's a situation that we need to do whatever we can, working with the commission that's working on redistricting, to make sure that our maps and lines are clear and really match what's in SEMS. So that's something I just would encourage everybody to be thinking about.
is that hearing that they're going to
The
have?
25th at 6 p.m. The district maps should be available, the preliminary drawings, 2 weeks ahead of time. So that should actually be, if you do the math today,
Yes.
they should be available.
Yeah, and we really need to look at those.
I know it, I've not seen any of it, so we're real interested to see
Yeah,
them.
and another thing, and it's not fair to the taxpayers, for example, we have one precinct that 3 commissioners share. Lauren, I think you have about 10 votes in that precinct, or something like that. That's 411.
Twin Lakes.
Twin Lakes. When you create those situations, we can end up opening a poll on a primary day for a runoff, pay people, and have nobody show because of
And we
that.
did.
And that
I
did happen.
think that happened both at Highland Colony and Twin Lakes during my runoff in 2020.
It did.
Correct. So
Yeah.
we need to make sure that the commission drawing those lines is aware of that and takes the taxpayers' needs in effect, as well as drawing the lines.
Okay, District 5.
Really nothing. See y'all next week, I hope. Hope all of you bring a mask. We're gonna try to keep you as safe as we can do, because there's no restriction from the state at this point, but I do want to make some restriction from all of us, and I am going to ask that when we get there. because of the safety of everybody. Because some people don't have their shots, some people refuse to take the shots, and we don't know who they are, so all I'm saying is protect yourself.
Yep.
All right. Well, do I hear anybody that wants to motion our adjournment?
So moved.
Second?
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. See you February the 9th, hopefully sooner.
Hopefully sooner.
Thank you, Anita.
I think she dropped off after her time.
I think she did too, I just wasn't sure.
So, what's the difference in the payroll?
Every 2 weeks is every 2 weeks.
So it's gonna be bi-weekly, which is what it has been since May.
Yeah.
So it's not changing from that.
She didn't do a list, she wouldn't do a list, so she just said every other Friday or whatever, every 2 weeks.
Well, they have to have it by the Monday, but to me, it's easier to do it on that Friday.
Or, well, yeah, whenever.
They don't have it here, but it started January 1.